Hello, Marjorie and other people from CAS. Um, I'll just go ahead and start jumping in with question number one. In terms of organization skills, I have a lot of experience managing several different programs in the outdoor and education world as a program director, as an instructor, and as an outreach coordinator. I really enjoy working on several projects and kind of starting with the big idea and then kind of hankering it down to more specific details and delegating those details to other people, as well as kind of being the manager of all the tasks that need to happen to make a project come to fruition. I'm really good at calendars and to-do lists and making sure that I know everything that needs to be done for a project, and making sure that all of those different areas in a particular project are being covered. And then in terms of assistance needed with that type of multitasking and organization skill stuff, I would say my biggest need for help would to be having good training, so knowing what I'm doing and what's expected of me before I jump in. Once the expectations are clear and my questions have been answered about a project, I can usually pretty independently go forth and go at it, as well as delegate tasks with the team. And that also goes for sometimes if there's like a specific website that you all use or certain tools, either online tools or physical tools that you guys use specifically for CAS. Sometimes it takes me like a couple tries to get used to a new platform, but once I understand the platform, I can work in pretty independently on it. For question number two, describe your familiarity with the ecological concepts, multiple organ ecosystems, and education standards. I have written several lesson plans, which I'm more than happy to send you that link along. It's a Google document. For my position as the AmeriCorps with Rouge Outdoor Community School, I was responsible for their 50-minute outdoor education classes each week. So each class, K through 8th, would come to me in our outdoor learning space, if it was bad weather, an indoor space, or in the garden. And I created units for each season of the school year, usually 8-week long units. And each unit was related to an NGSS goal within the curriculum for each grade level. It took a little bit of getting used to writing NGSS or curriculum based off NGSS with such a wide range of 5-year-olds to 14-year-olds. So that was it was producing curriculum each week. The students had this class each week. It was almost like a PE or an art class in which they would have that time set aside, and that class would come out to me for their 50-minute outdoor education lesson, and it really became part of the fabric of the school, which was really awesome. So particularly my expertise is on forestry and watershed interactions. I've worked mostly with 3rd through 5th graders as kind of a sweet spot, but obviously can learn more concepts for organ ecology and also work with 7 different grade levels. So that's where most of my experience lies, though. Next question. Number 3, outdoor school for all, with Julie Berry and Ryan King, the principal at Rouge Outdoor Community School. I worked with Oregon Measure Bill 99, I think that's what it's called, and used that outdoor school funding the past 2 years to host, during this time of COVID, outdoor education experiences for Medford School District students. Lone Pine, Kennedy, I have to look at the other ones. There were 4 schools that came to us this year, and Washington was another one, and Wilson. I knew they were both W names. And those schools applied for the Oregon 99 funding. All schools needed a bit of assistance and guidance to use that 6th grade money for outdoor school. The only school that had done it before was Lone Pine. And so I was part of that process with the principal, Julie Berry, and Ryan King, assistant principal, to assist these schools in applying for that funding so they could have the money for these students who, coming from those schools in Medford, otherwise probably would not have been able to afford an overnight field trip, which that fund is often used for. But with COVID, there was kind of a lot of shutdowns, as you guys know, with overnight field trips. And so we provided a 3 consecutive day outdoor education experience that was day trips to the Rouge Outdoor Community School site. We did stations at Cantrell Buckley Park with the Applegate Watershed Council, and then a hike on the Bigfoot Trap Trail. And I was the one who facilitated all the volunteers for 2 of those days, led the hike, and helped email and answer questions from teachers on how to, about the funding and how to use it. And then Julie Berry was the one who received that funding from the schools because we were considered a provider, and she was the one in charge of those funds. Afterwards, they don't give that kind of like responsibility to AmeriCorps, I guess, in charge of lots of money for that particular program. But I was helping schools get access to that, including our own school at Rouge. And then I did kind of a similar thing. It's not an Oregon bill, but worked with Title I schools as the outreach coordinator and getting them to a residential site where I worked as the outreach coordinator at McDowell Environmental Center. So I have experience with it with the Oregon Law 99 bill, and then a different bill that appears itself in a little different way with Title I schools in Alabama. Question number 4, to plan and implement a new program, what process would you use? I would probably look at the big picture first and see what would be the purpose of this new program. What am I trying to accomplish? What is the cost team trying to accomplish? Then I would look at funding sources and see, do we have the funding for this program? Is it a big money cost program? Do we have to first fundraise to even get this program started? And then I would definitely talk with the staff team and the people that I'm working with to see if it's a program that they think aligns with the mission of COS and the skill set of the staff. Because I don't think when you're implementing a new program, just doing it just you without the input of the team, particularly instructors and their staff members, it's just not going to be as strong unless you have other people on your team giving input and feedback. So yeah, I've always had a dream of kind of utilizing outdoor school as a space for outdoor therapy and social and emotional intelligence curriculum for students, and that would definitely be a program that I would want to implement and grow, but I would definitely want to first check what type of funding do we have, what type of structures do we already have in place for this program that could be useful to help creating this new program. You don't want to always be recreating the wheel if there's something already out there that's similar. And then just, making sure you have the logistical backing for the program, and then also the staff and team support is really important to me if you're going to do a new program. Question 5. Making children feel safe and welcome and having fun. I think, creating a welcoming space right off the bat as soon as you are interacting with students, whether you are going to the COS site or whether they are coming into one of your field trip locations, is making it a space that they can be asking questions about if they have any nervousness going on. A lot of kids who come into the outdoors aren't really used to being in that space. Having them ask questions about where they are, showing them your favorite spots can make them feel included, and having fun is just bringing a spirit of enjoyment into the outdoors and willing curiosity. When I worked at McDowell Environmental Center, there was the lead naturalist who really thought that having a positive adult role model as an instructor for outdoor school could really impact a child's life, and having curiosity about the world around you and not having to know everything as a concrete fact, and having curiosity alongside with them is really fun. They enjoy that, and it actually makes students have more curiosity themselves. B, prevent and handle discipline problems. I think having clear expectations anytime you bring kids into a new spot is crucial. yeah, the more clear expectations you can have off the front, um, that makes it very clear for students what's expected of them and therefore decreases behavioral problems. And then setting guidelines that if you do something like break the safety of this protocol or situation, there will be this repercussion or this consequence, and making that just clear for students off the bat. Because most of the time when you do that, I found that that really decreases behavioral issues because they know what's expected of them. Support learning concepts. Clear lesson planning has helped me a lot. The measures I've taken to do that is creating good lesson plans and really asking myself, what is the goal of this lesson? What are the learning objectives I want students to get out of this lesson? And then I've used the Beatles model of lesson planning to help with, the invitation, the exploration, content analysis, and reflection. Is the Beatles method of kind of creating a curriculum design around a concept. But I like the Beatles method, but I also sometimes just like focusing on my learning objective and kind of taking it apart on what I want students to get out of a particular lesson and then going from there. To encourage social and emotional learning, I think with kids in the outdoors, this is just such an amazing space to encourage students to be in their discomfort, to be in their fear, to be in their joy, and making activities and, parts of lesson plans that are science curriculum-y and address the NGSS standards, but also at the same time putting in things that challenge students, that make students have to confront beliefs that maybe they're not used to, working together with other students, whether it's like dissecting, a part of a tree, and one student gets to be in charge of this part of the dissection, the other person gets to be part of the other dissection, and having teamwork really woven into everything that you do. I also believe, having worked at residential summer camps and outdoor schools, that creating community and that intentional setting of community within your staff and within the students that come really just makes that social emotional learning. It happens naturally. It's already going to happen. If it's an overnight program, they're already sleeping in the same spot. They're eating communally. Those are all things that students often sometimes are not used to doing. And knowing that and creating that as part of your program's growth and goals really helps with all that stuff, as well as putting social emotional things in all of your different lesson plans. 6, tell us about a difficult or challenging experience you've had with children. I had a few. It's hard to think from some way back, but most recently, I had a student at Rouge who started Rouge from a different school, and he was a 6th grader, and had anger outbursts and screaming and just a lot of negative behaviors that came in during the classroom time that I would help in the class. And then he ran track and field, which I coached, and there were points where he could not go on field trips and quit the track program, and that was really hard to see based off his family background. But when he came to summer school, which I taught this summer for Rouge, it was just a morning summer school, and he, was there with kids varying ages, kindergarten all the way up to middle school. And what I found real success, and I found this with a lot of kids, is giving them a sense of responsibility, purpose, and leadership. I kind of gave him like a leadership role of planning some PE type games for our morning activity. And he really thrived. He got into planning all the different games that we could play. And I saw this kind, caring leader out of this kid who could be really destructive and came from a really tough background. So sometimes if it's in a classroom setting, which I am pretty used to, where the kid, giving them, leadership or finding something that can bring out a good side of them that can really help with their behavior. And with outdoor schools, sometimes you don't really know the students that you're getting to interact with. You don't see them every day, like I had seen this student. But in that case, just anytime that you can have your expectations be clear and connect with a student in any way, that often does help with some of their challenging behaviors. But it really depends on the student and the situation. But I think having clear expectations and kind of an openness to get to know that child who might be having a difficult time can be really helpful. Those are the answers to the questions. And once again, sorry for having it be on video. I hope that's okay. My tablet is really hard to type on. My connector that had the laptop piece doesn't work anymore. So hopefully this was okay, and I look forward to doing the Zoom interview soon.